Welcome to Your Best Bets, episode 181. And we are here to talk about the upcoming Fort Wayne Golf Association season, which kicks off this week, of course, annually with the five-man scramble at Riverbend. I know this is one of my favorite events. It's, I think, a lot of local players' favorite events just because you can get out there with your boys, hit some shots, hit some putts, maybe have a couple drinks, and see if you can post a score. So excited to talk about that and the upcoming season tonight with the president of the Fort Wayne Golf Association, um, everyone's friend, Brian Straley. Brian, how you doing?
Good, good. Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it. So, yeah, exciting times right now.
Yeah, welcome back. I know you were on a couple times last year, and always good to have you in the seat here to talk about golf. And of course, Johnny is with us. Johnny's probably busy writing notes for either the five man or he's scouting out the Lions draft next week, which NFL draft is quickly upon us. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I like I've said before on a
Yeah,
couple other shows, I'm gonna be there. So had to work some weird move some days around on my work schedule to make it happen and everything like that. But I'll be there all 3 days, staying right downtown, within walking distance of the draft and everything. So
awesome.
looking forward to that. Won't talk about it much tonight. We'll probably I'll recap it, in the coming weeks and everything like that. But excited to talk about local golf, like excited to talk about the Masters. And I know I'm very, very excited about the season to start. So, this is definitely an exciting time here in northern Indiana here. Once around this time of year every year when the Masters comes, and then we start the summer tournament schedule.
Yeah, and
Absolutely.
couple weeks ago we had the guys from the Three Rivers Tour on to talk about their upcoming season. Of course, it always starts at the end of March, so we did a show with them, and so glad to have Brian on to talk about the Golf Association and of course what it's going to offer in 2024. And Brian, it's just like clockwork for me. It's like Johnny mentioned, there's spring break, Masters,
Uh-huh.
five-man scramble, and
Yep.
just kind of talk about that,
NCAA
how
tournament. NCAA
and
tournaments kind of mixed
NCAA
in.
tournament, yes.
It gets, yeah, March and April become pretty busy, I would say, for all the sporting events. And and it's kind of nice too, right? Because you transition out of NFL. Congrats on your Lions. They were awesome. I think we had this conversation last year. We said they're pretty good. And then into the, college basketball, the March Madness, and then into the Masters, which is, I think, this stretch of golf it's always good on the West Coast, but it just gets better now. And great, got the majors coming up, and then our golf season starts. So now we get outside, we get to compete just like the professionals do.
Yeah, absolutely. So five-man scramble, like I said, it's just like clockwork. It's always the kickoff events. Just kind of talk about the relationship you guys have with Riverbend, this event, Tom Botteron, that whole thing, how this thing just continually evolves into now it just always feels like a big deal when it comes around at the end of every April.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And I'd say one thing about Tommy and his staff and the folks over at Riverbend is I appreciate the just the way they put on an event, how gracious they are as a host. They're easy to get along with, right? They look forward to this just as much as we look forward to this. And I know scheduling some of our stuff around with the Three Rivers Tour stuff that it has been great for the last several years, or at least the last 3 or 4 years, especially. So, just trying to put those tournaments in, but the five-man especially, like I said, it's a great venue for, like you said, group of guys, whether you're out there just to have fun, but also be competitive. You're with another group, so you're hanging out with 10 guys essentially. This year, I kind of want to speed play up a little bit. I don't know if you guys saw that. I've got a little bit of feedback on the max par concept that we talked about at our board meeting about a month ago. And so I brought it up to Aaron and Tommy, and I just thought, with the weather, you never know what you're going to get this time of year. I really wish I wish it would be 60, 70. I don't, we've had some nice days. We've had some crappy days. And so it doesn't look like it's going to be it's going to be in between. I would say this year it's going to be a little windy and mid 50s maybe, hopefully. But you know, you want a good course. You know, he's going to make it hard, but you know, you got to play well to win. So, but once again, implementing something that's going to make it under 6 hours, hopefully, or around 5 to 6 hours would be ideal this year. Just to listen, we don't have to struggle for to make a 12-foot par. I've had teams that are good teams, bad teams. We've never made a bogey. I'm not saying there's probably a lot of teams that struggle to make par sometimes in that event because it's hard, but to take an extra 10, 15 minutes a hole to, we're all shooting for the same thing. If you're good at birdies are going to trump pars anyway. So the more birdies and eagles you make, and it could offset some of the eagles. You could be a little bit more aggressive on somebody hits a green in 2 and tries to get aggressive on an eagle because they know they got a par, might hurt them, and maybe they make a par instead of a birdie. So we looked at all the aspects of it, but anyways, I'm just looking forward to hanging out with all you guys, seeing everybody again, and just putting on a great event. And it is an awesome event to start with every year.
What's so that changes? I mean, that from what I could see is kind of the only format or procedural policy change in this event. I think we talked about this last year about going to the 10-man groups. I think that was in 2021 or something like that. Mm-hmm. And the reasons why. So this is maybe to combat that a little bit because of the 10-man groups are just obviously going to be conceptually slower, but makes a lot of sense to me. I mean, I'm excited to hear that. I did not know about that. I don't know if Johnny knew. Maybe I missed something in an email or.
It was just kind of subtly put into the email with everything with everything else that we had. I obviously some groups caught it and brought it to my attention, and I told them the discussions we had, which I thought were great discussions about it. It's not like we just said, "Hey, why don't we just do this?" It was thought out, and like I said, let's have a good time, be competitive. The best teams are going to win. I don't care if it's par bogey. It's I don't think it's going to knock a team out. There's the team that shoots 14, 15 under is not going to have a bogey. So I just don't think that it's going to knock out a team that would have won anyway. And it maybe it helps a team that was going to shoot 3 or 4 over shoot 1 or 2 under. But at the end of the day, it's not going to hurt the teams that are climbing up the leaderboard, unless it kind of backfires on somebody on a par 5 that gets a little aggressive and jams a birdie putt in where they think, well, the next one doesn't matter, and maybe they're not as cautious as making it. I don't know, just something, little nuance to it.
Yeah, absolutely. What are we looking at for course setup?
It's going to be difficult. Tommy's, I don't know with the rain. Like we're supposed to get, I think we're supposed to get 70% chance of rain Friday. So I don't think it's going to be like we've seen it in the past where it's a little bit drier and he can get them 13, maybe 13 and a half, 12 and a half, 13. Johnny, that out there, how quick.
On Monday, they were a solid 11. I know we've gotten a little bit of rain, but he top dressed them, and he's going to have them rolling probably 12 or 13, I would imagine. I mean, it's just Riverbend in competition.
I always tell everybody, it's like, go putt on your glass table at home or go, try to play in a U.S. Open where, at least you got 5 guys trying it, right? But I think it's kind of cool too, because you'll have guys trying to make some chips, trying to be a little more aggressive with the iron shots and the par 3s and stuff. Mm-hmm. I think it's just going to add a little bit more excitement and fun to the overall experience of it. But we'll get feedback after this year. That was our goal anyway, to kind of, I think we're going to do a little bit more of that moving forward, is get feedback from the players on what they liked and what they didn't like from each season. So that's something Blue Golf offers that we're going to add a little bit this year.
Okay. That's actually, at some point I was going to ask you a little bit about that, and we'll get to that. Kind of moving past this weekend, the second event on the schedule is the Hall of Fame at Riverbend in May, and then followed by the AM Open in June at Brookwood. I know, and correct me if I'm wrong, at some points during the past schedules, we've had a 2-man event maybe squeeze between those, and I know we've had a two-man event at the end of the season as well. I didn't see a 2-man, at least for the regular association. I know there's a 2-man senior event on the schedule. Is that something that is finalized, or is that pending?
I tried to fit it in somewhere in June, because it used to be in June. There's just not a lot of dates that work that well this year in June with the schedule, especially with some of the courses that have some of their member events. The courses I reached out to anyway. I think because Brookwood would have been a great place for it, or maybe Cherry Hill. We talked to Cherry Hill about. There just wasn't. They either had an outing or something going on. It conflicted with the holiday. One of the dates that we could have done it. So we're still gonna try to do one in late August again, like we have. It probably won't be at Riverbend like it usually is, but we do have a couple of venues that are interested in doing it. We want to keep it, but I do want to move it back into the rotation. I tried this year. It just didn't work out with the timeline and the schedule. So it's always kind of like, typically we do the 5-man, the Hall of Fame, which typically used to be the spring open, which kicks off at Coyote. What this year, with the city being there, they were like, yeah, can we just, concentrate on the city, do our member events? Totally get that. So that'll probably be moving back. So Riverbend was last year we played in, I think, July there possibly, and it was hard, windy. That course is, it's tough to set up when it's really fast and firm. And so I think having it in a little bit earlier in the season will definitely give it a better test for the players, but also fair, a little bit more fun. You make some birdies, and that car, Riverbend's hard anyway. So, but I thought moving it back, and that's why I wanted it to be the first event, especially since we have the qualifier at Brookwood. Brookwood would be better off to have, the Fort Wayne Am later in the year.
So we can't expect a 2-man to be added later.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, it'll still be in mid-August, I think the 20, somewhere in that third week of August. But I just haven't, like I said, I'm talking to 2 courses right now that are interested. I just haven't nailed down which one is going to be the best fit for the players and for them as well, as far as tee times and everything, that because it's a 36-hole event. So yeah, it takes a little finagling, but I do know that a couple of the courses that like Riverbend, they've got a few outings, which is great, right? I want to see that for the courses. I want them to have, be able to take care of their members, take care of their outings, and then, fit us in where they can. Because like I said, with the Three Rivers Tour and now us and the seniors and the women, there's a lot of tournaments that they have to facilitate. So try to make it easy on them as well.
Johnny.
Well, yeah, and that was going to be a question I had, was as far as like when trying to secure golf courses and tournaments for that matter, like how far out do you start looking as far as like for the 2025 schedule and everything, and looking at potential dates?
We start pretty early. Like I have the qualifier set for the next for this year and for 2024 and 2025. I tentatively really have it set for 2026 as well. And I kind of have now. I'm supposed to be stepping back a little bit in 2025. We'll see what happens there. That may get pushed back a little bit, but I've already got cities lined up so with the city, we line up 2 or 3 years in advance. So we've got it for 24 and 25. We've got a tentative site for 2026 that I know everybody would be happy with, but we've got some logistical stuff that we just got to work around and make sure it's going to work. And then the qualifier I have the next 2 years will be at Brookwood. Mike's already secured those dates. So Coyote's already for next year. So we do it about a year in advance, but some of the, things pop up. And so we try to move the venues around as well as we can. Maybe Chestnut, maybe Autumn Ridge, maybe Cherry, trying to get, some of the core. I would love to get Foster Park when they ever do I know it's going to be a while, but get them back in the rotation and have them. But yeah. And then obviously with the little city, I know you guys have talked to the Three Rivers Tour. Trent had reached out to me earlier this year and, wanted to know about our schedule. And he had an event that was going to McMillan. And I said, our event's pretty close to that event. I'm like, you guys do a great job running your events. So why don't we, coexist, and why don't you guys run the event? Let us back the event as far as, maybe offering some city exemptions. And so not really, kind of co-branded, but let them take the reins as it may be.
I thought that was great on both your parts. It was it's like the opposite of PGA Tour and Live, right?
Very much so. Very much so. I've always been that way with the Three Rivers guys. I mean, like I said, it's all about local golf, and there's enough golf to go around, right? I mean, we want to try to. Our thing has always been the 2-day, more highlighted events that we've always had like a fixed schedule with, what's going to be there, right? It's going to be the Hall of Fame, the Fort Wayne AM, the kind of the spring, the end of the season, the qualifier, the city. And we've done a lot. Last year it was just too many tournaments for all of us to run, the board, me, everybody. It just got a little overwhelming. So, I mean, it was almost like, I think in June I had 2 or 3 tournaments. And that's just too much to run for a small golf association. So and with all their events going on, it just gives everybody I would say with your club events and those, I mean, you just got so many good weekends of golf that you can choose to play in or not, but we just wanted to condense it a little bit. So commingling with them, because they were more than amped to be able to run that. And they do a good, they've proven they run a great golf tournament. Their format's a little different, but at the same time, it works. And so I thought it'd be a good idea to, give some city exemptions for guys to push guys to play in that event, and then also to help them a little bit to push their tour a little bit too.
I think a lot of people are at least excited that the little city is on the schedule somewhere.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot of history in that event, and I talked about with the Three Rivers guys is it's one of those courses where it feels like anyone can contend, any type of game can contend, and it's kind of unique like that. So glad to see it has a spot on that schedule. Offering the exemptions in the city, I thought was pretty cool. So
yep.
That tie into the FWGA. Last year's show, I think we had Ramon on with us, and Ramon, of course, will always give us his opinion. And I think I think at some point he mentioned fees for the events, and I haven't really looked through. Entry fees for the events are, I mean, basically consistent compared to last couple of years, Brian.
Yeah, very consistent. Yeah. I think it's $35 to enter each event. And then the course gets their greens fee. So that's kind of the structure we went to. The city tournament is a little bit different. This year, the qualifier last year was like in a full paid entry, and then we negotiated that with the club. But this year we just did a normal entry fee, and then same as all of our other events, if you want to walk, ride, you can pay that to the course. So a little bit different as far as the greens fees, but the city's the same. I do know it's obviously being at Coyote, not at Pine Valley. Billy did a great job with the pricing on that. I've had discussions with Sycamore for 100-year in 2025. I believe that'll be very fair as well. We haven't came to a final conclusion on the presentation, but I know those guys are willing and going to work with us for that. Obviously it's not going to be, what it is this year, but maybe closer to what it was last year, or within reason to that. It is interesting though, being on the senior side of things now that Mike Reiki stepped down, that the senior event has increased, the senior city has increased, and we're seeing the numbers jump, for the courses. They're just, they're busy, they're packed, they got full memberships, they're asking for, so I don't know what world we're going to live in. Are we going to live in a world where, we're playing the city at Riverbend and Brookwood and, some of these other places that are, accommodating where everybody can get in and play, or do we want to play at private elite clubs that are maybe a little bit, more expensive? But I don't know. I guess time will tell to see what, like I said, maybe that's the feedback thing. Maybe that's where we as a board look at all those, options and decide what's best for all the players.
So let's talk about that a little now, the feedback aspect. Just historically, what does that look like? Is that just players coming up to you, saying, I think it was the event in the summer at Riverbend last year where it was kind of a course playing too tough kind of thing. From what I remember, we did a show on it, and I compared it to the U.S. Open jokingly. Is it guys just coming up to you, sending you emails, or is it something? Does it look different in that, or has it looked differently than that in the past?
Luckily, I wasn't there. That was the one event I was in a Pine Valley event, so I was getting texts, but you're playing golf, you're kind of like, you just ignore those a little bit, but get to those later. No, I had a lot of, I had calls, I had emails. I talked to the guys who were there. Obviously, I have really good buddies with the Riverbend staff, so I talked to a lot of those guys and a lot of the members there. So they knew it was hard. I mean, it's just a hard course. So I don't know. I mean, I've played in a lot of USGA qualifiers, some that were okay, and some that are just like, oh wow, that was, that just kicked my butt today. So that's just golf. Just play, and whatever you can't control the wind. Yeah, you can control the speed of the greens and everything, and it's going to be hard, and I get that. But we want, like I said, we want it to be fun and fair and competitive, right? We want it to be a good test, but still fun and fair and competitive. I know maybe got a little out of control with the wind and the green speeds, but that's just Riverbend. It's hard. So it's just stuff you look at, and if we have stuff there later on, if we have events, cities, maybe whatever, we just try to control that a little bit better. To it's still going to be hard, right? There's no scenario where it's not going to be hard. We just try to make it a little bit, maybe just try to dial it back a little bit.
Johnny, I don't want to dominate. You got anything?
Well, with the feedback and everything like that, but mostly I'm curious, how do you feel about the participation of most of the events? I know city and the city qualifier always get, they're always very, very busy with with the field size and everything like that. But as far as the other events, because like you said, a lot of us are a member at different clubs and with family commitments. And then what do you play? Do you play in the Fort Wayne event, Golf Association events? You play the Three Rivers? Do you play in the club events? I mean, overall, are you pretty happy with how the Fort Wayne Golf Association events as far as turnout?
Yeah. That's a good question. Yeah, and that's one thing we look at I look at it very closely. I have like a Through Blue Golf, which is one of the reasons I know there's a few other programs out there that others use, but with ours, and I've talked to some other guys that run associations that use it. The analytical part is really cool in the back end. I can kind of piece together our AM tournaments from year to year to year and see where we're up, down, sliding, age groups, that kind of stuff. So that's kind of a cool feature to see. I will say our participation as far as membership, since let's just say 2000, because it was weird, right, with COVID and everything, has definitely increased membership wise. Tournament wise, the first tournament of the year, the 5-man's always been great, right? It's always been consistent. We get 28 to 32 teams. So that's always been a good, solid, depending on weather. And then the first event of the year is usually very popular. And then the same thing, Little City was down a little bit last year. Maybe that's another reason to bring it together, to get more participation for Gary and the course. I know one year we did it at Chestnut. It was a little down. It was in the middle of the year. I think it's a timing thing. Like Brookwood's always busy because it's the last exemption we give out before the city. It's a great question, but I at least track it very closely. And I can say that there's a lot of players playing in our events that, and maybe some of the ones that people don't like to see them go, but some of the ones that we don't have anymore aren't there because there just wasn't enough part. There's no reason for all of us to take off when there's enough events to take off our time, their time, their family time for 40 guys to show up, right? I mean, you can play your club for that. So we just want to put on good fields, good shows, but no, the participation thing is always looked at, and it's been good. I remember when I first started, we used to get 110 to 120 guys. We're down to probably 80, 90 now, maybe some, but last year, the first event, the second event got 115 players. So yeah, good question.
Exemptions available in the Hall of Fame and the amateur, right?
Yeah. So if you go on the website, so one thing I would encourage everybody to do is go on to our website. I did a lot of back end work in the last 3 weeks on blue golf. Now that the seniors are part of the FWGA, the women have kind of put their schedule on, which is awesome. Kind of did a full city combined with that, which is cool. It's got a little bit of a redesign. It's got some new look to it. It's got some new tabs, and under policies and procedures, you can kind of go in there and see how to become exempt, who's exempt. We've got a lot of that information in there, and so I updated So obviously, there's 5 exemptions we're going to give to the little city. There's going to be exemptions just like we always have for the Hall of Fame for the Fort Wayne Am. There's also exemptions we're giving 3 exemptions for a group called the Pin Seekers. So I was contacted by them. They don't play in a lot of our events. They're maybe just to maybe bridge the gap a little bit. CJ Jackson called me and said, "Hey, do you think there's a way? I want these guys to play more in your events. I want to get them socialized." And I'm like, "Dude, absolutely." So as a board, we decided that'd be a great opportunity for their major event, which is Brookwood, before the qualifier. We're giving them 3 city exemptions. So a lot of ways to have them. Senior, champion, last 10 years, on and on. So
yeah,
I mean, we're just trying to inspire golf, right? We're trying to all not make it harder. Just, we always get a good turnout, like you said, for the qualifiers. So I don't see that changing with being at Coyote Creek this year, qualifier at Brookwood, but Coyote and then Sycamore in 25. Everybody's going to want to try to get on that and be exempt for that. So
that's a good point. Yeah, growing the game. I like it, Brian.
Yep.
Talk about Coyote Creek. Obviously, the city championship is there. It is our big event every year. Last there 2020 when I think Peters won, and just talk about a little bit about that weekend and what it's going to look like.
I know you guys would be sad to hear this, but Heath can't make it this Saturday, so so we got dang it. But no, Coyote Creek, looking forward to it, man. Billy and Hartley do a great job. Every event we have there, they're always they got the staff inside. They're always out on their carts. They're monitoring play. They do a really good job of running a tournament. It's a great after golf atmosphere with the patio and the restaurant bar inside. But the course is always in great shape. I've got friends that are members over there. Obviously it's been a little wet and whatever, but they said the course is in good shape. And I know Roger does a good job over there. They always take really good care of it. But I always feel like that always brings out great players in that at Coyote in the city tournament. I mean, we always, Johnny's going to be there. You're going to have all the top guys that are always, the usual suspects, especially at Coyote, because it makes you hit every shot, I think.
Yeah. Johnny, you got anything to add about Coyote?
Yeah, it's one of my favorite ones to play around in the area. And like you said, Coyote Creek, the staff just does it right. I mean, there's a few courses around here that do that, like Pine Valley does and everything. But it's like you said, coming, you could start in the bar area. You got the practice facility is good. The golf course is good. And the golf course really, really tests you because there's always the direction of the holes. You always get kind of a weird wind and you get a lot of crosswinds. And these greens, some of them are crowned a little bit and they're not the easiest to putt on. So, you've got to be able to have every club in the bag working. And I know whenever I played out there, whether it's been the early season tournament or city, I don't think I've ever won an event out there. It's just because always something's just a little bit off, and usually it's that putter or something like that that I just can't get it going, and you can't make putts. And the guys, who go real low, I think, looking at your website here, I mean, he shot what 207, so he shot 9 under par.
Yeah.
Santil was a few under par. I mean,
Yeah.
so Scott Pieri back in 11 was 6 under par. So I mean, these guys can make putts. So it's not like it's just it's a
Pretty
golf
good
course
champions too.
going. Yeah, and again, yeah, it does bring out the really
list
really
of,
good players.
yeah.
So yeah, it's something that it's just a good show how it's put on, especially at this golf course. City always is, I mean, for that matter. But like I said, I'm sure for you though, like as far as like what happens, like not just going on the golf course, but like keeping the guys and the families, the wives, the kids, the girlfriends, and stuff, where they can kind of just hang around, and it can just kind of be a cool vibe to it. I bet that is nice because that probably makes it easier on you
Oh
that you're
yeah.
kind of wanting to oversee the tournament and actually playing in it as well.
It's yeah, and I love, like I said, the fact that it all kind of comes into where the patio is, right? So you've
Yeah.
the back nine, right? It's all on this. It's all on this side. Everything kind of flows. You can kind of see the guys teeing off on 15, coming up 16, 17. Boom, they're coming right back. Yeah, it's nice to be right there and be able to have everything. Big facility. Yeah, that's a good option to have for. I like I said, they just put on a go, and they always do for their tournament. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Want to give you the opportunity to talk about any sponsors you want to shout out, or
Sure.
anyone you're working with that's kind of helping making this thing go.
Yeah. Oh, I got flack from Chris Barkus last year at Pine Valley. He's like, dude, I was your scorecard, you're kind of your corporate sponsor, and you you forgot me. I'm like, I had a million people, but yeah, Black Canyon, they've done a great job with us for the last 2 years, giving out gift cards to winners and doing kind of like a corporate sponsor on the scorecards. And Stan Zerl at 5 stars, always been great for us. Ruoff Mortgage, Mark Music and Lee over there do a great job. Touche's always stepped up ever since we've been in. He's doing the Player of the Year. So when Belvix was bought by the corporate Worldwide Golf, I think, or Tom felt bad, but they had to drop back on that. So Touche took that over. Golf Garage helps us out. Really, all the golf facilities, have a part into it. Juliet O'Daniel, Auto, and just on and on. So maybe some more this year. I do have a nice corporate sponsor that wants to stay anonymous. That's going to help for the senior side. So yeah, it's great. We've got a lot of good stuff happening. The women do a great job too and so does the Three Rivers too. It's just getting your name out there, and to any of our sponsors or anybody that wants to be a sponsor, people hear it, read it, see it. They, they're going to want to help out with it. Right. And they're going to think of you in whatever need or necessity that may be. So appreciate all that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know you have some regular volunteers with scoring. It would probably be a good time to throw their names out there as well.
Yeah, Jen's she's excited, so she's going to be there this weekend. She'll be there. Jim Belleville will be there in the beginning Saturday, but she's helping me on the blue golf side with the women's stuff. I also have, new board members. Probably should have said something about that, but Garrett Leeper, Alexander Fanning, Jason Herberger. On the senior side, Mike Neely and Brian Gottwald. So they're going to kind of run with Carl and Vern on the senior stuff. I'm doing the blue golf side of it. They're running with that. And then the women have Lori Stenson and Tammy Hoffman, those girls that are helping there. But Jen's huge for all of that because she's kind of my sidekick, kind of like Lauren was, right? To have that person I talk to Schmucker about this all the time. I don't think people really realize how how hard it is without that to be able to run the events, because I can't be everywhere, to have somebody there to commit their time to help us have a good event tournament. It's pretty cool to do that.
Absolutely. We've talked about it. When we do local shows, Fort Wayne is absolutely a huge golf town, and this tour is no small thing. And I think you guys do a great job. You do a great job running these events. They feel, as professional as you can feel at this level, and it's organized, it's structured well. So I just want to shout you guys out as a tour. You guys do a really good job.
I appreciate that. I do want to add something. As a board, we haven't done it in a long time, but we had a big conversation about Hall of Fame, whether it be player, player, administrator, media. But this year we're inducting Ron Schmucker and Mike Davis. So they're going to get inducted. They've already been inducted, but they're going to have their ceremony at Coyote on Saturday of the city tournament. So that's going to be pretty special for them. I kind of came up under those guys, so it's a big thing for me. But Ron, I learned a lot from him doing this. They're the ones that implemented the blue golf, the technology that we use that makes the tournaments run better. So it's a big honor for them, but they deserve it all the time. And I remember when I came in, they were handwriting stuff down. It was only those two at every event. Think of all these events we do. They were there all day, all weekend. That's a lot of commitment, a lot of time. They didn't have a scorekeeper. They were just doing it, those two. So they had board members, but just like, sometimes board members are like, there's board members. So they did a lot for a long time, probably 8 or 9, 10 years. So anyways, kudos to those guys. Excited to induct them into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, congrats to those guys. That's awesome. Yeah. I'm old enough to remember the paper entries I got in the mail. Yeah. My first event was the 2001 city qualifier as a high school kid, and you'd have to fill out the hard copies entry, and that's going back. I think it was Pete. Pete was the president at that time, I believe.
Maris.
Yeah. So
and next year we got 100 year, and I won't take this too long, but we've got some cool stuff planned for next year. So especially with all the past presidents, past city champions, that we're going to do something special. We're going to have it's going to be a party at Sycamore. We're going to have a lot of neat stuff. We've got it planned. We've already got committees put together to do this. So it's going to be awesome. We're going to have fun. And then we just lost Kenny Rodenwald. I don't know if you guys saw my email, but I just found that out last week. Kenny was a really good close friend of my dad's and mine. I've known Kenny since I was probably 10 years old. But anyways, I was really hoping he wanted to really be able to make it to our 100. But I loved having him. You guys saw him there every city, right? He was doing his thing, and that's something we could all hope to do like sometime, just he gave almost all he had to golf. He loved golf. So anyways, sorry for his loss, but we're it's like I said, there's so much good family and things going on in the Fort Wayne Golf Association. We're all part of it. So I'm looking forward to the next 2 years.
Yeah, absolutely. Should be a great season ahead, starting this weekend. And I know I'm looking forward to it, and I know you guys are as well. And I'm confident we'll be doing a city preview. We've done it the last 3 years on the show. So we kind of run through the course and talk about players and course fits. So that'll be fun to do end of July before the city. And it's my intention as much as I can to talk to guys that win these events, the Hall of Fame, the Amateur Open. If we can, if my kids' sporting events don't get in the way of throwing out a pod that next week, but. We were able to do that last year with Garrett after he won, and that was cool. And any way we can kind of try to support FWGA with our podcast, we'll definitely do that.
I absolutely appreciate it. You guys are awesome.
Last item to talk about, guys, is the Masters. I thought it was a phenomenal tournament. I've read some things out there that kind of make it seem like it wasn't, because the back nine wasn't necessarily dramatic. Brian, I don't know how many times you've listened to the pod last year, but Johnny and I have been, at least me, I don't. I've been just saying this is a historic run for Scottie Scheffler for the last 2 years. The wins haven't necessarily come, but they're going to if he continues hitting the ball at this pace. I appreciate history. I know Johnny does, and I assume you do too, Brian. And I just feel like we're watching a historic type player playing elite golf, and that's just awesome to watch. And I thought this weekend was awesome. Johnny, thoughts on Scheffler and the performance?
Yeah, and I could see how some, a lot of casual fans especially didn't really care for it, judging by the numbers, I guess that the broadcast produced, which was a little bit lower than it is typically on a Masters Sunday, because Scottie was kind of had it in hand, and when he kind of gets the reins to a golf tournament, he's so hard to beat. So there was probably a big reason why some people weren't, casuals and everything weren't tuning in. But yeah, as someone who has played competitive golf, not nearly at the level as he has, but still tries to play at a competitive level, this is unreal. Just seeing the ball striking from tee to green, and now his putting, and just watching him play golf as a whole, from the drives to the irons to the short game to the demeanor, that he just doesn't get dejected, or doesn't get too down on himself or frustrated, and he doesn't let it affect his game, because he just knows he's going to, like he did on, I think it was a Saturday, he made a bogey or two, and then rips off 3 birdies in a row at like 10, 11, and 12 or something like that, or 11, 12, 13. And it's just like, this is just so good, and he's head and shoulders above any other golfer right now as far as ball striking. And when you're at this top level, usually the strokes gained numbers, or just the eye test is so minuscule that you're just looking for a good break or a bad break either way. He's that much better. He's just that much better, and that's, to me, that's like, that just blows my mind, because I didn't think we'd see someone who is head and shoulders above the competition after Tiger, and he's basically kind of, he's basically performing the same kind of numbers versus the field.
Yeah, I agree completely. Like, what was it? I don't know, three years ago, he started winning. Maybe it was towards the end of the year, whatever. You saw, okay, here he, it's kind of what we expected. When he was young, playing the USAMs, played at Texas, blah blah blah. But you start seeing this funky leg movement, but the ball striking, and the way he controlled his distances and his irons, and okay, yeah, maybe a little sketchy on the putting, but his short game, to me, like from even back then, was amazing. Like, even when he would, and then he just turned that into 2023, right, where he just went, he and John Rahm kind of just went on a tear there early, and once again, putting was okay, ball striking was phenomenal, his short game was phenomenal. He has, and then on to this year, I think he's hitting even better this year.
Yeah.
Now he's got that mallet putter where, like everybody says, if he putts well, you're done. It's like, I always tell everybody, and I've told everybody this in the last, I don't know, 4 months. It's like, Tiger's the only one that's ever hit it that the numbers, stats this good. And he's never going to be Tiger, right? Tiger's just in a whole world by himself. But I've never, like you said, I didn't know we were going to see anybody that close. I mean, he's only 27. We were watching this. Everybody I'm with, they're like, how old is he? Like 40, 35? I'm like, no, he's not. He's 20. He's like 27 years old. I mean, he's still got 8, 9 years of prime golf. He could win, I don't know, 6, 7, 8, 9. I mean, he could win 3 or 4, 2 more, 3 more this year. I mean, he's just, like you said, when he tees it up, he's so hard to beat. He doesn't get dejected. He doesn't have any weaknesses. I think I saw a stat yesterday. He's leading 36. He's number 1 in 36 stats on the PGA Tour. That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, not much to add. I'm so impressed by when he does miss a green, that his short game is I mean, top
Chips it
five.
in.
Yeah, I mean, chips it in, or it's almost an automatic up and down. And I thought back nine on Saturday, like Johnny mentioned, there was a moment where he fell two back and the door was open, and then he made an eagle on 13, a bomb,
Yep.
and it was like
Boom.
boom, and then it was like his B minus game, I thought, on Saturday, and then even first 7 holes on Sunday, I was like, it's not looking great. And the door was open, but nobody could get through that door. And as soon as he birdied 8 and then stuffed it at 9, almost hold it. I mean, we didn't even have to play the back 9 because that's when he played. I thought he played his best golf the last 9 holes of the week. And I'm like, damn, he didn't even have his A game the whole week. And
I
he's
think
still,
I think there's a lot of good players too, right? Like there's a lot of
Oh yeah.
good players right now. I mean, on the PGA Tour, Live too. Like there were some guys you saw them up there, but I mean, there's some dudes that are balling right now. They're going to be a lot of second places. They're going to be like, look back at their career and be like, I lost to Scottie Scheffler. I lost to Scottie Scheffler. I lost to, Xander Schauffele is going to say that a lot. Like, I could have won 4 times, but it's just, it's going to be hard.
It's
hard to beat 'em.
I'm glad you said that, because so Friday's round, when it was 35-mile-an-hour winds, gusts up to 50, and it was as hard as I've ever seen the Masters, and it was awesome TV.
Loved
And
it.
he was playing with Rory, and this is where I was like, oh my God, there is a chasm between Scottie Scheffler and Rory McIlroy, and it was their approach shot on 11 when it was hard right to left wind. Scottie hits this low flighted long iron, and it's beautiful. He hits the right side of the green, never flirts with the water. And Rory, he didn't have that shot, and he floated it up there. It probably wasn't a hook, but it turned over into the water. And I'm like, I don't think he's got the shots in his bag to keep up with Scottie, especially when things get really, really tough. And a birdie fest might be different. And that's partly why last week when we did the show, Johnny, Zach, and I just said, I'm picking Scottie Scheffler to win because I don't know who's going to beat him over 72 holes. And now I feel even more strongly about that.
Yeah.
But
that Oberg kid, though, that was his first major. Watch out for him, man. He's a ball striker too. He's not the best putter either, but that dude can. I mean, he's lasers with his drive, and he's long, and he's good too. He's got a good future. He's going to win a few majors.
And we've been talking about Ludwig for a while, that we think is the future number 1 at some point.
No doubt.
He and Scottie are going to fight that one out.
Yeah. Maybe when Scottie's wife has a baby or something, and it's going to take him a while to catch up. But I agree with you guys. He will. Yeah, he's a heck of he's going to be a number 2 at some point. I can guarantee you that quickly.
Yeah. Johnny, did you have any other thoughts on the Masters, or any other players that either performed or underperformed?
Well, you just said just a couple minutes ago, you said Rory doesn't have the shot in his bag. And Scottie Scheffler pulled off a similar shot flawlessly, and it's just, that blows my mind, because I mean, for this generation, Rory McIlroy is probably the best ball striker that we've seen since Tiger until this little streak here. But no, I think the golf course it really shined because they had some perfect weather leading up to it, and they were able to make the golf course how they wanted it, which was firm and fast. And the winds came in, and like anybody who plays golf knows, when it gets windy, that's when the golf courses are the toughest to score in. And I thought it was great to watch the entire event, just because you saw some real good scores Thursday. Bryson played great, that first day there, and then the winds came in, and it was just kind of survival, and really the course, even though it wasn't as windy, I mean, there was winds on the weekend and everything like that, but the golf course was that hard, and it was nice to see that these dudes can't go out and shoot 21, 22 under par. You had to hit golf shots all around to win a major championship there. So, I know some of the people were clamoring for it being a little bit more top heavy, but I mean, if you really looked at the leaderboard there with with Scottie, with Abear, you had Max Homa, who's one of the better players on the PGA Tour, Colin Morikawa, who's won multiple majors, Bryson, Xander, the field was great. And it was, without Scheffler, it was going to be especially epic of a final round. And it just so happened that we had all these elite players playing really good golf, and he, shoots like 68 the last day and wins by 4. So, it was a another great event. It was fun to watch, and it's fun to watch guys like that who are just so good in sports. And I'm not even just talking about golf. Let's talk LeBron James in basketball, or a good pitcher or something like that. It's fun to watch elite athletes perform on these types of levels and everything like that. So I thought it was just great, and it also helped that I had some bets on him as well. So I end up pull a profit on him as well. But I mean, I think if I didn't, I might say differently. But it's just the Masters just showed up and showed out again, and I'm sad that it's gone for a year, but I'm really happy with how the golf course performed and the field that we got to watch over the weekend.
Yeah. He's not bad for a guy that you didn't think was going to win a second major 6
So
months ago.
why you gotta
see? And I felt like, don't you feel like those guys were like all just like worn out too? Like I know they tried, like they played hard, but I kept telling everybody I was with them, like, dude, Scottie Scheffler is so mentally stronger than all these guys. Like he just went through 3 days of torture at Augusta with all the wind and the hard conditions, and I just felt like he was the guy that was going to push through all of that, not really make a lot of mistakes, and that's what he did.
Well, yeah, and I mean, a lot of times what happened is these guys would make a couple birdies, but you're just one bad shot or one bad bounce. You just pick the wrong wind gust, and you're going to make double on that golf course and everything like that. But what Phil was alluding to was with some of our listeners here probably heard from several months ago. We had an over under on how many majors Scottie Scheffler would win, and I said there's a possibility he'd never win another one after the Masters back in 2022. So I'm a little bit wrong on that, but I didn't expect him to be half as good of a putter as he has been here since he finally switched. Yeah, that's exactly. Or blame on Rory for telling him to go to the mountain.
That's true.
Exactly.
I couldn't let that go by.
Yeah, I know.
Right. I could not let that slide by. I said it over under 3.5, and you took under 1.5.
I took under 1.5.
It was aggressive. All right, guys. Brian, thanks for being on, talking about the upcoming season. Everyone's really excited, so we'll definitely see you Saturday, and should be a great season ahead.
Look forward to seeing you guys. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Johnny, for being here as always.
Thanks, fellas.
All right. Thanks for listening. We will catch you next time.